Palestine, a name that echoes through the corridors of history with profound resonance. This land, perched at the meeting point of continents, serves as a sacred cradle for three of the world's major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Its soil has witnessed the rise and fall of civilization, the passage of prophets, and the ebb and flow of empires. Yet today, Palestine finds itself at the epicenter of one of humanity's most enduring and complex disputes: the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. To understand the present, we must journey back in time to trace the intricate tapestry of Palestine's past, the emergence of Israel, the wars and peace efforts, and the ongoing struggle for Palestinian statehood. Nestled between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River, the region historically known as Palestine has been coveted and contested for millennia. In antiquity, it was home to the Canaanites, whose cities dotted the landscape long before the Israelites arrived. The Israelites established their kingdoms here, with Jerusalem as their spiritual and political heart. Along the coast, the Philistines built their own cities, giving rise to legends and conflicts that would shape biblical history. Roman conquest brought sweeping changes. In 70 CE, after a devastating revolt, the Romans destroyed the Jewish temple in Jerusalem, dispersing many Jews across the empire. Yet, a Jewish presence persisted, interwoven with the lives of other communities. The region became part of the Byzantine Christian world before being swept into the embrace of Islamic caliphates in the 7th century. Islam's arrival added another layer of religious significance, as Jerusalem became home to the revered Al-Aqsa Mosque. For centuries, Palestine was a mosaic of cultures and faiths. Muslim and Christian Palestinians lived alongside Jewish minorities, bound together by the rhythms of daily life and the shared heritage of the land. The Ottoman Empire ruled for hundreds of years, maintaining a delicate balance among its subjects. But as the empire weakened, new winds began to blow through Palestine, winds that would shape its destiny in the modern era. The 19th and 20th centuries ushered in dramatic change. In Europe, Jews faced relentless persecution, fueling a movement known as Zionism. Zionists dreamed of returning to their ancestral homeland, seeking sanctuary from a world that had often turned against them. The idea gained momentum, and waves of Jewish immigrants arrived in Palestine, joining long-standing Jewish communities. World War I marked a turning point. In 1917, Britain issued the Balfour Declaration, pledging support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This promise collided with the aspirations of the Arab population, who yearned for self-rule after centuries under Ottoman control. The British Mandate, established after the war, became a source of tension and controversy as Jewish immigration increased, especially in the aftermath of the Holocaust, a tragedy that drove countless Jews to seek shelter in Palestine. With the world watching, the United Nations proposed a partition plan in 1947. 2 states, 1 Jewish and 1 Arab, with Jerusalem under international administration. Jewish leaders accepted the proposal, driven by the hope of safety and self-determination. Arab leaders, representing a population that outnumbered Jews 2 to 1, rejected it. They believed the plan was unjust, allocating less land to Palestinians, despite their majority. The following year, Israel declared independence. Arab armies from neighboring countries entered the fray, sparking the First Arab-Israeli War. Israel emerged victorious, But the cost for Palestinians was immense. The Nakba, or catastrophe, saw more than 700,000 Palestinians displaced, their villages destroyed or repurposed. The map was redrawn. Israel controlled most of the land, while Jordan annexed the West Bank and Egypt took control of Gaza. Palestinians became refugees in their own homeland, scattered across borders and generations. But the conflict did not end with new borders. In 1907, the Six-Day War changed the landscape once again. Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights, bringing millions of Palestinians under its military occupation. For Palestinians, this meant life under checkpoints, curfews, and a lack of basic rights. Israeli settlements began to spread across the territories, fueling resentment and resistance. The decades that followed were marked by repeated cycles of violence and uprising. The Intifadas, popular Palestinian rebellions, captured the world's attention as images of stone-throwing youth confronted heavily armed soldiers. Both sides suffered losses, and the hope for peace seemed ever elusive. Palestinians continued to demand independence, while Israel insisted on its right to security. Amidst the turmoil, efforts were made to broker peace. In the 1990s, the Oslo Accords brought a glimmer of hope. Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat and Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin shook hands on the White House lawn, agreeing to limited Palestinian self-rule in parts of the West Bank and Gaza. The world dared to dream of a two-state solution, Israel and Palestine coexisting side by side. Yet, violence, mistrust, and political divisions undermined the process. The assassination of Rabin, the rise of Hamas in Gaza, and ongoing settlement activity in the West Bank fueled skepticism. Today, over 130 UN member states recognize Palestine as a country, but Israel, the United States, and many Western nations do not. The dream of two states remains on fragile ground. Recent years have seen renewed urgency. Palestinians demand an independent state along the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as their capital. Israel, meanwhile, insists on security guarantees and continues to expand settlements. Jerusalem remains the most sensitive flashpoint, holy to Jews, Christians, and Muslims, and claimed by both peoples as their capital. The Gaza Strip, governed by Hamas, has endured repeated wars with Israel, leading to humanitarian crises that reverberate far beyond its borders. The Palestinian Authority, meanwhile, administers parts of the West Bank, but lacks true sovereignty, hampered by internal divisions and external pressures. The international community remains deeply divided. The United Nations has passed countless resolutions in support of Palestinian statehood, but powerful vetoes in the Security Council stall meaningful action. Western nations emphasize Israel's right to security, while many countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America champion the Palestinian quest for independence. Peace initiatives are often overshadowed by violence, regional politics, and the shifting sands of global alliances. Ultimately, the story of Palestine is not just about lines on a map. It is a story of people, of families uprooted, communities longing for justice, and generations seeking dignity and self-determination. For Palestinians, independence is a matter of survival and identity. For Israelis, security and international recognition are paramount. Will there ever be a true two-state solution? Or will this conflict continue to define the Middle East for generations to come? The answer remains uncertain, but what is clear is that the world cannot afford to ignore the voices on both sides, voices that call out for peace, freedom, and a future where Palestinians and Israelis can coexist, not as adversaries, but as neighbors. In the end, the hope for peace endures, a hope rooted in the conviction that understanding, justice, and dialogue can overcome even the most entrenched divisions. The story of Palestine reminds us that history is not just written in books, but lived every day by those who refuse to give up on a better tomorrow.